In this project, we worked on a supermarket sales dataset to analyze customer purchasing behavior. We first imported the required libraries, mainly pandas for data manipulation and matplotlib for visualization, and then loaded the dataset into a data frame. To understand the data, we explored its structure using functions such as shape, info, and describe, which allowed us to identify the number of observation, variables, data types, and basic statistics. Next, we cleaned the dataset by checking for duplicated rows and missing values. And since the number of missing values was limited, we removed them directly from the original dataset to ensure consistency for the analysis. Finally, we created several visualizations, including bar charts for payment method and number of purchases by city and average of total spending by product line, in order to better understand the distribution of key variables before performing deeper analysis.
For our first insight, we wanted to see if there's a positive correlation between the customer satisfaction and the total spending in the supermarket. So our first step is we did a group by between the two. So we did the mean total spending for each rating by grouping the rating and the total of spending in the supermarket. And to prove that there is a correlation, we showed it in two steps. So firstly, by displaying the 5 most and the 5 worst spending in the supermarket and showing their ratings, and we can see that the people who spend more rate the best. And we also did a bar chart so we could visualize it and see that there is in fact a correlation between the two, because we see that the ratings and the total spending are positively correlated.
Okay, so for the second insight, we first counted the number of purchases for each exact purchase time to get a general idea of the customer's behavior. And then we extracted only the hour from the time variable, which is more meaningful for our analysis. And we counted the number of purchases per hour and identified the hour with the highest number of transactions, which is around 7 p.m. For the second part, we analyzed the number of purchases this time per product category and compare them across different hours to see if certain products tend to be bought at a specific time of the day. So finally, we visualize the number of purchases per hour using a bar chart to clearly show the peak shopping times. So the conclusion of this is that purchases are concentrated during mainly around midday and later in the afternoon. And also different product categories show different purchase patterns depending on the time, which indicate that the time of purchase does influence the customer's behavior.
For the third insight, we decided that we'll analyze whether the payment method depends or not on the city. So first we count the number of transactions made in each city using the function value lower dash count, which helped us to understand which city was the most represented in the dataset. Then we used the same function in order to identify the most frequently used payment method. Then we created a cross-tabulation using the crosstab function. So this helped us compare city and payment method simultaneously. And it gave us a table which shows how many times each payment was used in each city. Finally, to visualize this result, we used a bar chart, which makes it easier to observe differences between cities and determine which payment method was preferred depending on the location. In the last insight, we checked if expensive products tend to receive higher ratings. So in order to do that, we first calculated the average price of all products, and we used it to divide the products in two groups. The cheap products, which are the ones with the price below or equal to the average price, and the expensive products, which are the ones with the price higher than the average price. Then we calculated the average rating of both groups, and by comparing the average rating of both groups, we can determine whether expensive products tend to receive higher ratings or not.
Finally, we used the individual values and plotted them into a scatter graph with the rating on the y-axis and the price on the x-axis to visually determine if there was actually any sort of correlation, and if the higher the price meant customers were more happy with the product. However, to our surprise, it is clear that there is no correlation between the two. So while some people may think that the more expensive an item, the better the quality, these results prove otherwise and show that price is not always a factor of quality and satisfaction.